Hello everyone, welcome to my next tutorial. Actually tutorials, because I prepared for you for different pattern for Easter eggs. So for these tutorials I use different colors of crochet thread yarn. For blue, orange and yellow I use the crochet thread yarn Rico Essential. This is number 10. Crochet thread yarn number 10 for the hook size 1.75 or 2 millimeters. For those 3 eggs I use 1.75 millimeters crochet hook size, and also I've done red one. For this one I used DMC Petra size 3, and I used a little bit bigger crochet hook size. For this yarn I used 2.5 millimeters, but only for the red one. So as you can see, I've got 4 different Easter eggs, and in next 4 tutorials I will show you how to make each one. So today I'm going to show you the red one. So I will show you the main pattern, and the decoration you can add as you want to. The eggs is from top to bottom about 5 inches big. So the pattern is prepared for that size of egg. You can change the size of the pattern by using smaller or bigger crochet hook size. Okay, so this is my first part, and now I will show you how to make exactly the same part. We need to take our yarn and the crochet hook, and we will start by making chain of 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Into the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3 and 4, we will work first part of the double crochet. So we are working through first 2 loops, and the last loop we need to leave on the hook. And one more time, first part of the double crochet into the same chain, into the 4th chain from the hook. So we are working through first 2 loops, and now we've got 3 loops on the hook. We can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. Now we are going into the next chain stitch, so this is the second from the beginning, 1 and 2. We need to work 1 double crochet, then chain of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 double crochet into the same chain as we've done the first double crochet, and now into the last chain we will work 3 double crochets together. So 3 times we need to work first part of the double crochet. So now I am working through first 2 loops, the last is staying on the hook, and again yarn over, put your crochet hook into the same chain space, so into the last one, grab the yarn, work through first 2 loops, the last need to stay on the hook, and one more time, third, we are working through first 2 loops, we've got 4 loops on the hook. Now we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. So now we've got first round done. Chain of 3. Now we will start working on the second stitch, and into the top of 3 double crochets together, so into that big loop we will work 2 double crochets together. Basically we should done 3, but because we've started by making chain of 3, we are working only 2. So I work through first 2 loops, the last loop I've got on the hook, and again into the same big loop, first part of the double crochet. Now I've got 3 loops, and I can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. into this, now chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the same big loop we have to work another 3 double crochets together. So 3 times we are working through first 2 loops. 1, 2, and 3. 4 loops on the hook. So as you can see, at the beginning we had only 3 loops. That's because we start by making chain of 3, and now the last loop is because we had stitch already done. So now we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 2. Into the chain space we need to work 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then chain of 2 into the top of, so now we need to skip double crochet and into the top of 2 double crochets together, I think, because we start by making a chain. So we need to find the big loop again, and into the top of we will work 3 double crochets together. So through first 2 loops, 1, 2, and 3. 4 loops on the hook. We can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. So exactly the same as at the beginning. Then chain of 3, and into the same loop another 3 double crochets together. 1, 2, and 3. 4 loops on the hook. We can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. So our first 2 rows we've got done. Now to start row number 3 we need to turn our work, make slip stitch onto the top of 3 double crochets, so we have to look for the big loop, slip stitch into that loop, then into the chain space. Row 3 we need to start by making chain of 3, then 2 double crochets together. 1 and 2. 3 loops on the hook. We can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3. Into the same chain 3 space, 3 double crochets together. 1, 2, and 3. 4 loops on the hook. We can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, chain of 2. Now into the first 1, 2, 3 double crochets we will work 3 double crochets together. So in each stitch we will work only first part of the double crochet. So 1. Now we are going into the second stitch and we will work 1. I am working through first 2 loops, and one more time I am going into the next stitch, into the third double crochet, and I am working through first 2 loops. I've got 3 loops on the hook. Now we can finish the stitch. I am not making any chain 1 for lock. Now chain of 3 into the next double crochet, 1 double crochet, chain of 3, into the next 3 stitches, 3 double crochets together. So first part of the double crochet into the first stitch, first part of the double crochet into the second stitch, then first part of the double crochet into the third stitch. Now 4 loops we can finish the stitch, chain of 2, then we are going into the chain 3 space and we will work 3 double crochets together. 1, 2, and 3. Now we can finish the stitch because we've got 4 loops on the hook, chain 1 for lock, and then chain of 3. Into the same chain space, another 3 double crochets together, 1, 2 and 3. 4 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. Now next round number 4, we have to start by making slip stitch into the top of 3 double crochets, so into the big loop, into the chain 3 space, and again chain of 3, 2 double crochets together, 1 and 2, then we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3, into the same chain space, 3 double crochets together, 1, 2 and 3. Now we can finish the stitch. We've got 4 loops on the hook, chain 1 for lock, and then chain of 3, 1, 2, 3. Single crochet onto the top of 3 double crochets from the previous round. So again we need to find the big loop, and now chain of 3, we will work puff stitch into that stitch. So 4 times we need to yarn over, put crochet hook into the big loop, grab the yarn, and now our strands have to be the same length as chain of 3. And now we need to repeat this 4 times. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops on the hook. Now we can finish the stitch working through all loops, chain 1 for lock. So our first puff stitch we've got done. Now we are going straight into the 1 double crochet, and we will work puff stitch as well. So first chain of 3, slip stitch into that big loop to finish the first puff stitch, then slip stitch into the double crochet, chain of 3, and again 4 times we need to make our puff stitch. 1, I will do it again, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So now we should have 9 loops on the hook again. You can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3, slip stitch into the same chain, into the same stitch, then slip stitch into the top of 3 double crochets, chain of 3, and we will work another puff stitch. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we are working through all 4 loops, chain 1 for lock, chain 3, slip stitch into the same stitch. So we've done 3 puff stitches, then chain of 2. So we can make slip stitch or single crochet at the end, because we start by making single crochet. So I've done slip stitch, but actually we should finish by making single crochet. So single crochet, and then as at the beginning, chain of 2 into the chain 3 space, 3 double crochets together, 1, 2 and 3. Now 4 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3 and another 3 double crochets together. Four loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. Our next round is done, row is done. So now we've got row 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, we need to turn our work, slip stitch into the top of 3 double crochets together and into the chain of 3. Chain of 3, 2 double crochets together into the same chain space, 1 and 2. We've got 3 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch. Chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3. Now again into the same chain space, 3 double crochets together, 1, 2 and 3. 4 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. Now chain of 3, 1, 2, 3. We need to into the chain 3 space just here. So as we start popcorn stitch on the previous round, into that chain 3 space we will work another popcorn stitch. So after the chain of 3 we will work single crochet, then chain of 3 and our popcorn stitch. So 4 times, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we can finish the stitch. So again we should have 9 loops on the hook, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3, slip stitch into the same chain space. So we've got first popcorn stitch. Then we have to work single crochet onto the top of popcorn stitch, so into the big loop, single crochet onto the top of popcorn stitch again here, so into the big loop on the top, single crochet into the next big loop, so into the third popcorn stitch, slip stitch into the chain 3 space, chain of 3 and one more popcorn stitch 4 times, 1, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 9 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3, slip stitch into the same chain space, then chain of 2 and into the next chain space between two groups of 3 double crochets together we will work another 3 double crochets together, so 1, 2 and 3. We've got 4 loops on the hook, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3 and 3 double crochets together, 1, 2 and 3. 4 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock. So next round we've got done. So now next round, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we need to turn the work, slip stitch into the big loop, so into the top of 3 double crochets together, then slip stitch into the chain 3, chain of 3, 2 double crochets together, 1 and 2. We've got 3 loops, we can finish the stitch, chain 1, chain of 3, another 3 double crochets together into the same chain space, So first part of the double crochet, 1, 2 and 3, 4 loops on the hook. Now we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, and now we need to work chain of 2, into the chain 3 from the previous round where we've done the puff stitch. We will work slip stitch, chain of 3, and into the same space puff stitch, so 4 times. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3, slip stitch into the same chain stitch, and now we need to make single crochet onto the top of our first puff stitch from the previous round, then single crochet into the 3 single crochets from the previous round. One, 2 and 3, single crochet into the top of puff stitch, then slip stitch into the chain 3, chain of 3 and puff stitch into the same chain space. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 1 for lock, chain of 2, 3 double crochets together into the chain 3 space. So 1, 2 and 3, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3 and another 3 double crochets together. 1, 2 and 3. 4 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for a lock. So at the moment our work look like that. Row 7, again we need to turn the work, slip stitch into the big loop, then slip stitch into the chain 3, chain of 3, 2 double crochets together, 1 and 2, 3 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3, another 3 double crochets together into the same chain space, so 1, 2 and 3, 4 loops, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3. Now we are going, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. We should have 1, 2, 3 stitches into the middle. So into that first stitch we will work puff stitch, so we need to make single crochet after the chain of 2, and now we will work puff stitch, chain of 3 and into the same stitch 4 times. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3, slip stitch into the same stitch, then single crochet into the next single crochet, chain of 3 and another puff stitch. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain of 3, slip stitch into the same stitch, into the next single crochet, 1 single crochet, and the last puff stitch. So chain of 3 4 times to grab the yarn. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So after the last puff stitch, chain of 3, slip stitch into the same stitch, then chain of 2, into the chain free space, 3 double crochets together, 1, 2 and 3, 4 loops, we can finish the stitch, chain of 3 and another 3 double crochets together, 4 loops, we can finish the stitch. So basically all puff stitch we've got done. So we've got some kind of flower over here and quite not good looking space, that's why I am using small button just into the center. So in this way my egg will look perfect. Now next round. So again we need to turn the work, make a slip stitch into the big loop, into the chain space, slip stitch into the chain 3 and again chain of 3, three double crochets together, 2 this time, 2 double crochets together, 1 chain for lock, then chain of 3 and into the chain space another 3 double crochets together, 4 loops on the hook, we can finish the stitch, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3, single crochet into the top of center puff stitch. So we need to find the top stitch, then single crochet, chain of 3 and into the next chain 3, so between 2 groups of 3 double crochets together, the same 3 double crochets together, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3 and 3 double crochets together, chain 1 for lock. Now another row, so again slip stitch into the top of 3 double crochets together, then into the chain space and we will work chain of 3, 2 double crochets together, chain 1 for lock, chain of 3, 3 double crochets together into the same chain space, chain 1 for lock, and now we are going straight to the next chain free space here and we will work the same 3 double crochets together, chain 1 for lock, then chain of 3 and 3 double crochets together, chain 1 for lock. Now we've got the last one round. So again, we need to turn our work, slip stitch into the top of 3 double crochets together, into the chain space, chain of 3, 2 double crochets together. Chain 1 for lock, then into the next chain of 3, 3 double crochets together. So now in each chain free space we are working only one time, 3 double crochet together, chain 1 for lock at the end, and that's it. So now you need to make another the same part, and then I will show you how we can connect, join them together. Don't forget, put your button inside, and if you would like to, you can leave it like that. So I've got the same pieces of my egg, and now I will be putting one onto the top of the other, and from about 1, 2, 3, 4th row I will be start sewing 2 pieces together to the next 4 row on the opposite side. Then we need to put our egg inside and then finish by using the yarn needle. You can make it in a different way, but I think this is the easier. So as I said, I will join into the 4th row, and then exactly into the same stitch we need to start sewing. So this I will hide, don't need to be very tight, just make sure that 2 pieces are connected together each time. Okay, so by using the same way I just done my whole 2 pieces around, and at the moment my egg look like that. But because I decided that the red color is not bright enough, I will add some sequins beads by using glue gun. So I will be adding my sequins just on about 2nd row of 3 double crochets together. So by working this way, we can add as many decorations as we want to. You don't need to buy a sequins, you can actually add anything what you've got and what you like. I just finished working on my egg, so as you can see I just add a little bit more sequins than I thought. So that's it for today. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this tutorial, and if you are new on my channel, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.